Mariners lose 6-3. They fall to 79 and 64 on the season. They lose 3 of 4 against the Rays, and they end a just awful road trip at 3-7. Talk about the scoring plays. Rays get 3 in the first, a 2-run double by Harold Ramirez, and an RBI double by Josh Lowe that scores Ramirez 3-0. Another 2-run double in the third. Luke Raley doubles home Lowe and Siri. That gives them a 5-0 lead. Mariners chip away in the fourth. They get a couple. Josh Rojas singles in a run. Sam Haggerty also singles in a run. 5-2. Eugenio Suarez hits a sacrifice fly to make it 5-3. And then Christian Bethancourt singles home a run for the Rays for the last scoring play of the game. Scores Oslevis Brasabi 6-3. Ball game over. Road trip, thankfully, over. Before we get into the very few positives and a whole heck of a lot of negatives again, let's thank the good people of Simply Seattle for sponsoring the show. Let's remind you that you can get the very best in Seattle sports gear from them, whether you're looking for hats, jerseys, t-shirts, hoodies. It's about to be hoodie weather in Seattle. No question about that. Got to go get it at Simply Seattle. You can also find a bunch of really cool stuff like tumblers and cups and all sorts of really cool goodies. And you can save 15% on those goodies by using code MOLLYWOP15, MOLLYWHOP15. Thank you so much, Simply Seattle, for sponsoring the show. We very much appreciate it. I don't know why I took such a long pause here, but maybe I'm collecting my thoughts. Let's go over the couple of positives today. Julio gets a couple of hits, scores a run. Sam Haggerty had a really nice day. 2 for 3, drives in a run, also draws a walk. You know, the patience at the plate is still there. There's zero pop, but he's a very fine person to have in the organization, a fine 28th man, a usable 26th player. You can do worse. You can certainly do worse. Fun guy, too, and he has a dog named Manicotti. That's fun. It's a really good name for a dog. Teoscar scored a run. Suarez drove in a run. Rojas drove in a run. I'm desperate for some positives, folks. And then on the pitching side, Leon was fine. Walked the first batter. Showed that he does have the ability to miss bats. And when he doesn't give up homers, he can be pretty successful. It's a pretty big if. Pretty big if. Lots of negatives here. Before we talk about the pitching, just offensively, JP does reach twice, but had a pretty rough day. 3 strikeouts. Suarez outside of that sacrifice fly was awful. Ty France was terrible. Mike Ford, Rally, meh. A lot of 1-for-4s today. 1-for-4s don't kill you. They don't really help you. And we're looking for help, right? We're looking for help. And the fact of the matter is that after you chip away, you didn't do much. In fact, you did nothing. You just scored nothing over the final 4 innings. It's not good enough. And speaking of not good enough, Bryce Miller. So I want to give Miller credit for settling down in this one, because after the 3rd inning, I thought those final 2 innings were really good. And 2nd inning was okay. And you saw the flashes that make you think that the future for this dude is extremely bright. Mid-rotation starter, for sure. Maybe a little more if the secondary stuff shows it just a little more consistency, a smidgen more. But that's now, or that's not now. That's the future. It's today. And today, Bryce Miller wasn't good enough. Today, Bryce Miller wasn't close to good enough and puts your offense in a massive hole. You can't fall down 5-0 to teams that are as good as Tampa Bay. You can't. It can't happen. You can't have that happen and expect to win anyway. And I think the Mariners needed a win today. They didn't get it. They did not get it. And that's very frustrating. Because today was the game that would have been like, if you lose this game and you win one of these other two, and this is a split, you're just kind of like, sure would have been nice to get a series win here, but okay, it happens. But because you lost those last two, the magnitude is just amplified so much. And here's the thing. Yes, the Mariners are going to be able to skip their fifth starter a little bit. They're going to be able to, with off days on Thursdays, be able to play around a little bit. Can't skip the fourth starter. That's just not a thing you can do. They have no 2-game series left. So Bryce Miller is going to have to pitch. Unless you're skipping Bryce Miller and having him take a day off and you're using some of those other options. Folks, you want that? You want Luke Weaver back on the mound? Huh? No? So you probably should have gone and gotten another starting pitcher, huh? And this is not reactionary. This is not second guessing. This is not hindsight. It was blatantly obvious the Mariners had to get another starting pitcher. They didn't. And it makes me wonder how much they truly believed this team could compete for a division title. Doesn't sound like they did. You can say a lot of stuff, but relying on Bryce Miller and Brian Wu as 40% of your rotation tells me that I'm not sure you completely believed in this. Now, it doesn't really matter what they believe in, what the players believe in, and what they do. And I keep going back to this, folks. Like, losing 7 of 10 stinks. But when you win 24 of 30, it's totally understandable and justifiable. It's totally understandable to lose 3 of 4 against a team as good as the Rays in Tampa Bay. It's totally understandable to lose 2 of 3 to Cincinnati in Cincinnati. The Mets one's a little tougher, but hey, it happens. You lose 2 of 3 here and there. You can't win every series. But when they're added all up together on the same road trip, the same gosh dang road trip, and the weaknesses that were just so apparent, even while they were playing well, bite you on the tuchus. That's a different story. That's a different story. And, the thing that bothers me, and that I was trying to just hold off on not talking about it too much because I really don't want to yell. But this is the thing that bugged me the most about today. So it's 5-0. I'm getting comfortable. It's 5-0. You get a couple of runs in the fourth. You're chipping away. It's 5-2. You get another run in the third inning in a row, second inning in a row that you score a run, whatever. It goes from 5-0 to 5-3. You're now a bloop and a blast away from tying this up with lots of baseball left to be played. And your answer, after Miller somehow gives you 5 innings, what a blessing that was, considering how terrible he was to start the game. And your answer in a 5-3 game is to bring in Bizzardo. And credit to Bizzardo for pitching really well in the second inning that he pitched. But he was so terrible in the sixth. So fortunate to just give up the 1 run. And it takes that bloop and a blast, and it basically erases it. It completely erases it. Now it's a 3-run game. It's not over. But it shows you the lack of urgency that this team showed on this road trip. And maybe I'm wrong. Is it possible that I'm wrong about this? That, saving your bullpen arms for these coming games where you've got games against the Angels and the Athletics, and you've got 10 games at the end of the year where you're going to be fighting for your lives against those Rangers and those Astros. Maybe it does make sense. I don't think so, though. I think the lack of urgency that they showed today and through this series was disheartening. I don't know. I don't know. I am not a major league manager. I play one on TV. I don't. But the decision making throughout this series and throughout this road trip was just baffling. The only positive you can say is, hey, arms should sure be fresh for this upcoming homestand. Arms sure should be fresh. But I hate managing for situations that may not come. Now, look, the series is coming. Like, obviously, there's 19 games left. You're going to be playing the Angels. The Angels are awful. Then you got 3 against the Dodgers, who are very much not. And this pitching staff against the Dodgers just scares the ever-loving you-know-what out of me. So you do need a fresh bullpen for that series. Sure. But some better decisions, especially yesterday, maybe even today. Some better decision making. And you're talking about at least splitting the series and maybe taking 3 of 4. I said yesterday that if the Seattle Mariners don't make the postseason, I think Scott Servais should lose his job. And I don't like saying that. I don't like saying that because I like Scott Servais. I don't like saying that because I don't want people to lose their jobs. I take no pleasure in people who are good human beings. You know, Mel Tucker losing his job, that's fine with me. People like that losing their job, that's okay. People who are flawed in their decision making, I'm not reveling in them losing their jobs. But I think it's at least a conversation you got to have. And, you know, people will say, you can do this for every game. And you can, or you can go back and say, there's games that the Mariners have lost that they should have won. And there's games that they won that they shouldn't have lost. And that's completely accurate. But this stretch was easily the least impressed I've been with Scott Servais. Easily. Well, the cool thing is you're still in this. Everything is still to play for. But you just made it so much harder on yourself. So much harder. It's worth pointing out. So the Mariners get the Angels. That's a series you should be winning, and then some. A sweep here would be, do the kids still say honky-dory? Of course they don't. Sweep here would be excellent. What's going to be happening outside of Seattle might be even more interesting, because you have got the Blue Jays taking on the Rangers. I'm curious to see what you guys think in that series. Who are you rooting for? Do you root for the Rangers to just completely collapse? Or do you root for Seattle to do well and maybe the Blue Jays to do not so well, knowing that you control your destiny against the Rangers with 7 of 10 to end the year with them? How do you do that? There are positives and negatives to take from both of it. Pretty curious. Pretty curious indeed. Thanks so much for watching this. Please hit like and subscribe. Please follow me on all the websites. Check out all the things in the description that'll show you all the cool stuff you can check out that I'm doing. I'd really appreciate it. Frustrating, but there's still so much to play for, and I cannot wait to talk about these last few weeks with you guys.